Hello, hello, Sarah of SEK Handmade here, and friends, I am so excited to introduce you to the Lumi Cowl today. As you might have guessed by the name, the Lumi Cowl is inspired by the Lumi shawl, and I could not be more thrilled to have them both in my collection of finished makes. I really hope you enjoy hearing the story of how the Lumi Cowl came to be, but I do want to tempt you just a little bit to stick around until the end. At the end of this video, I have several fun ways to style your Lumi Cowl and a special discount code for sticking around. So I hope you'll stay all the way until the end. Let's talk about the inspiration for the Lumi Cowl. It's probably no surprise to you that the inspiration for the Lumi Cowl came from the Lumi shawl. Once I finished up working my Lumi shawl, I had lots of little bits of leftover yarn in so many gorgeous colors. I knew that I didn't want to stash them away somewhere. I knew I had to make something really gorgeous out of them. But I had already made an enormous shawl in fingering weight yarn, so I wanted to come up with a new and creative way to use the yarn in a project that would use up a lot of my leftovers, but also wouldn't be a teeny tiny hook and another big project that would take a really long time. After such a large project, I was craving a quick win. The Lumi Cowl ended up being the perfect quick win. The way that I got around using fingering weight yarn but not having tiny stitches and a small hook is that I held them double. You can see the yarns are marled together. Not only does it create this really stunning visual effect, but also it works up really fast and uses up a whole bunch of the scraps from my shawl. But you know me, I love to have all the options. So once I got this guy made, I knew that I needed other options. I found this gorgeous yarn and I knew immediately I had to buy it. It had to be a Lumi Cowl. What this is a 5-skein mini set. So they were all dyed to coordinate, and then one full skein that's held all the way throughout. So for my cowl that goes along with my shawl, I changed both colors for every single stripe. But with this guy, I held one strand all the way from bottom to top, and then every few repeats changed the mini skein that I used until I had my 5 stripes. So let's talk about all the gorgeous yarn that makes up both of these amazing cowls. If you watched my Lumi shawl introduction, then you know that these are all mini skeins of knitted wit yarn. I absolutely love this yarn, and you can hear all about the story how I collected these yarns to make my shawl in the introduction to the Lumi shawl, which I'll link below. All of this yarn is leftovers from my Lumi shawl, and some of them are used more than once, but it was so fascinating to see how using the same yarn twice but combined with a different color yarn really changed the look of the yarn. No two stripes look the same in this whole entire cowl because they aren't. It was so much fun working all of these different color combinations and seeing how the effect of the colors marled together really changed the whole look of the yarn. This yarn is the knitted wit sock yarn, and it comes in skeins of 420 yards per 4 ounces. It is a superwash merino nylon blend with 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. Because I love options, and I know it's always helpful to open up a pattern and have lots of choices to choose from, I wanted to also have a version of the cowl that was made not with scraps, but an actual intentional yarn set. This gorgeous yarn is by Nanette Wake Studios, and it is just the most stunning shades of purple and pink. The yarn that I held throughout is her fingering weight yarn, and it is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon with 490 yards per 115 grams. The colorway is something I'm absolutely obsessed with, and it's called Le Bleu. I also used a 5-skein mini set to create my stripes. Each of the mini skeins has 87 yards per 20 grams, and they are 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. The name of this gorgeous mini skein set is called Pop Goes the Purple 2. Let's talk about the hooks you'll need to crochet this gorgeous cowl. Because I held 2 strands of fingering together, you're going to need a much larger hook than you normally would for fingering weight yarn. You're going to use a US K-10.5 or a 6.5 millimeter hook. That larger hook size gives this gorgeous drape and flow of the fabric and makes this a super speedy project. Let's talk customizing your cowl. As you can see, I have 2 very different cowls here, and there are instructions for both of these inside the one pattern. But on top of that, I provide a whole entire table with round by round yardage so that you can take any scraps that you have, any mini skein sets you have, and combine them together to make your very own custom cowl blend. If you're looking to make your cowl wider or more narrow, this is a 17 stitch pattern repeat. So adding or subtracting 17 stitches is going to make a significant difference in the circumference of your cowl. You can add as many rounds as you want to make this as tall as you want. This is a nice slouchy cowl, and so it's perfect to have it really tall so that it can just cozy right down on your neck. Of course, if you want something a little lighter weight for spring and summer, you can always do a shorter cowl that will just hang really nicely and cool on your neck as well. The pattern also includes lots of tips and tricks for customizing your cowl, so be sure not to skip that part in the pattern. All right, let's talk styling your cowl. I know that when you think of a cowl, you probably don't think that there are lots of ways to style it, but I have a few that I think will make wearing your Lumi cowl something you can do almost every day. As you can see with my mini skein set, it's really obvious that there's a lighter, brighter side and a darker purple side. So depending on what side you wear facing up, really depends on what color is highlighted. Even as I just toss it over my head with the brighter side on top, it brings the bright to the front and really makes that side stand out. When I simply take it off and flip it upside down with no additional styling, you can see that the darker purple really stands out, and it totally changes the look of the whole entire cowl. While the Scrappy cowl doesn't have 2 distinct ends with the bright on one side and the deep purple on the other, it does change which colors are featured based on which side is facing up. So this is with one side facing up, and this is with the other side facing up. I certainly could have been more intentional about how I held my colors together here. I did it in a very random mix because I didn't want any specific stripe or color standing out, but I could have gone light to dark or mixed all similar colors together, made it a little more of a gradient, and then switching sides would have made a really big impact. One of the things that I really love about this cowl is it's extremely reversible, both from top to bottom, like I just showed you, but also from inside to outside. Sometimes the inside of a cowl looks so much different from the outside that you want to kind of try to hide it away, but that's not the case with this cowl. One of the ways that I love to wear this cowl is by folding the top down, and especially on the cowl that has the big color change, you can see the ripple of the edge of the cowl really well because it's a great contrast from the bold color of the top to the deeper color on the bottom. I've also found that you can make the ripple show really nicely at the bottom of your cowl if you pull your cowl forward a little bit and then more intentionally lay the ripple flat across your chest. And of course, again, the look very much changes if you lay your bold color across the bottom and fold your darker color over the top. If you're really looking to show off one color or the other, you can always fold the other color down to the inside. It makes this drapey cowl stand up a little more and is great for chillier weather. As spring starts springing, I know that I'm going to want to keep my cowl away from my neck a little bit, and the way that I do that is with a shawl cuff. I simply take the shawl cuff, wrap it around one side of my cowl, and it helps to contain it all down and away from my neck a little bit, you can still see all the fun colors and the ripples without overheating. It's a great option to help take your cowl from winter all the way into spring. I hope you make, love, and wear your Lumi Cowl. If you do, I would love to see it. Please tag me on social media or send me a quick picture of it in an email. It means the world to me to see your finished projects. As a little thank you for sticking around this long, I would love to give you a discount code. The Lumi Cowl is available on Ravelry and Etsy, and you can use the coupon code LUMI20 at checkout at either place to save 20% on the Lumi Cowl. But act quick because this coupon code only lasts February 22nd through February 27th, 2024. I sincerely hope you enjoyed meeting the Lumi Cowl and that you will enjoy just as much making it. Thank you so much for joining me today, and happy crafting!